They're pretty hot. You know, you can say whatever you want about me, it's not my fault. There are probably thousands of people masturbating to this film.
I've been masturbating in front of my friends since I was 10. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid where someone was like secretly a monster.
So, MrGirl, you know the guy who defended cuties? Oh yeah, and also said the young girls are hot and horny?
They're pretty hot.
So far from the truth, let me tell you. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth twice. I can't understand it, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But before we dive into this video, I just want to get things across to you right now. I don't want you to confuse understanding with sympathy. I know, I'm well aware that a lot of people these days don't understand fully what words mean. There's so many people these days calling these people out, but actually doing nothing about it. This video is trying to give an insight into understanding the core root of these problems and these thoughts that people have so we can stop this happening in the future. I could sit here all day and call stuff out, but it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to stop 700,000 kids being abused every single year. But before we get into the chat with MrGirl, I want to take you on a journey. There's always a reason why people think the way they do. And then you've got communities growing like the MAP communities. The majority of the MAP community works towards normalizing that sort of behavior, normalizing the sexualization of kids. I'm not going to say all because I know some of them, that is not their goal. The MAP community itself has been trying to get into the LGBT community for a while now, with their argument being, you can't help who you're attracted to. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, son. You don't pop out the womb a menace, let me tell you. It's the way society and the environment shapes a person. A MAP is a minor attracted person. Absolutely vile if you ask me. Twitter is infested with this community, so if you've been on Twitter then you know what I'm talking about. You might see in people's bios, MAP supporter. In what bloody world could you proudly announce that you're supporting pigeon shit? Literally no. I want to show you how deluded most of these people are. I found this on Twitter. MAPs are perfect. All you guys make me so happy. I'm sorry, but what is that? Traumatizing kids makes you happy, does it? Coming from someone who was abused as a kid. Suck it and spin, please. I don't want anyone to go through what I did. And I don't like seeing people glorify this behavior either. But I want to tell you something right now. It's very easy to find these communities. In fact, it's very easy. There are loads. And one of the tweets reading, just a friendly reminder, y'all still people, no matter what the brainless shitters here tell you. I mean, clearly this person is deranged. I'm sorry, disagreeing with maps makes you a brainless shitter, does it now? Okay, I'll take that title. And I'll wear it. Now, I noticed that they put the hashtags MAP Pride, MAP Support, and MAPs Against Abuse. It's great that there's people within the MAP community that are against abuse and all. It's good when one can identify the issue and actually, you know, stand up for it. But when you've got MAP Pride and MAP Support also in the tags there, somehow this message just doesn't seem very right to me in the slightest. Yes, there are some MAPs that are against the abuse, but then there's also not. So it's a very divided community in that aspect. Now, I just want to let you know that the majority of MAPs from the research that I have done myself think it's okay to have sexual activity with a child. Just let that sink in for a minute, because it's fucking disturbing, isn't it? I don't know why some of these people can't wrap around their heads that a child doesn't want to have sex with you. A kid hasn't got a clue about anything. It's our jobs to protect them as adults and to voice when they can't be heard. You shouldn't be forcing adult activities on a kid, full stop. Don't tell me otherwise, because it's not true. I mean, if these people actually knew the damage that has on a child's mind, they wouldn't be sat here talking absolute shit now, would they? My conclusion of the MAP community, yes, some of them are openly against abuse and are actively seeking help. But then on the other hand, you have actually got people that are actively protesting for this to be normalised. And I just got some words for you there, mate. I know, just get help, yeah? Now, the reason why I brought up the MAP community was because of what MrGirl said in his cuties video. It seemed like something a MAP would say, right? But you see, this takes a dark turn that I didn't even expect to hit me in the face. Now, everyone has a past, including MrGirl. Now, I want to sit here and bring you onto the level of knowledge that I know about this guy right before we show the chat, so you understand why we talk about certain things to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with here, basically. He has a video on his channel titled, "This monster I've been fighting my whole life." Now pay attention to these 2 words in this title. It's gonna make sense real soon, trust me. It all started when his mum became a lesbian when he was really young with her co-worker from work, and things started to escalate very fast.
ABC sitcoms replaced The Simpsons, granola replaced Tricks, and we didn't have a fucking microwave. They seem like small things, don't they? But new rules started appearing too. Speech rules. Everything I said was scrutinized for any appearance of sexism or homophobia. I wasn't supposed to talk about girls or female teachers I disliked at school, or guns, or horror movies where women died, or sex, or pretty much any emotion or thought I had. Once I was listening to the song Mouth, and Carol demanded to know if it was about oral sex. I was 12. Another time when I was 13, my brother and I decided to eat an entire container of smoked mussels while we played computer games. I went down to the kitchen and loaded those oily little bastards onto a plate, and as I left, I muttered to myself, "These are disgusting." That was when I was still trying to make my mom and Carol laugh. But Carol responded with, "Shut up." I said, "Okay." She just glared at me, frozen in some kind of invisible rage. I went upstairs. She followed me up and burst into my room. "You are well aware that plenty of men call mussels disgusting by comparing them to women's vaginas." It took me and my brother several minutes to convince her that we actually had no fucking idea what she was talking about. Carol would routinely say unfounded bad things about my father, who is a fucking asshole, by the way, but still. And just before my mother kicked me out, Carol said, "If men all like each other's company so much more than they like women, I think men should go live on an island together."
This is one of the reasons why you don't push adult views on a child. Let me just say, I can hear the anger behind this guy's voice, this whole video, and it smacks me into next week. MrGirl has openly told me that he still hates himself for being a male, from growing up in an environment so hated towards men. Which brings me back to the title. His guardians at the time would refer to men as monsters, so turning into one of them things doesn't seem so foreign when that's all you've ever known. Which makes me think, being suppressed so much does something to the mind. Sadly, there's still more.
Did start when I was 10. When I was 16, my mother kicked me out to go live with my father. Later, she told me it was partially because she was sexually attracted to me, but that's a story for another time.
This is an absolute germ, Carl. And to yam sexual things into a kid's mind, dude, how do you pop a kid out and give it the worst start in life possible?
Another issue, I talked about how much I masturbate a lot. And then another issue, I said, "Fuck you" to my mother. That's when I first found out people don't actually read what you wrote. It doesn't matter what you actually wrote. What matters is what one person or 2 people said you wrote.
Yeah. Now, obviously, hearing this is sort of an indication of a disturbed child. The way he just views his writing is no one reads it. The language he uses to commentate over this also. The language he uses in the articles when he was younger. Why did no teacher even pick up or notice anything? Clearly something was going on. Looking at these screenshots to me looks like a cry out for help. This kid needed guidance, which clearly leads us down the road of people's lack of understanding. I will link this video down below if you want to watch the whole thing. But looking at the type of content this guy likes to post, there's a thing that aligns with the stars. And that's the fact that MrGirl likes to shock people. He likes to say things that no one else says. Maybe because it doesn't even appear shocking to him. Who knows?
We need little kid sex robots.
You'll never want a real man again.
Look, that's a joke, but not really. Let's talk about this nonsense like, oh, I'm not a pedophile.
Like necrophilia or bestiality.
You only say that because it's so stigmatized.
We need to be a little more constructive here, okay?
How come there are video games where you can kill people, you can even kill children, but none where you can rape them? And if you try to tell me that rape is a worse crime than murder, I'd like you to read my favorite Alice Sebold quote. "Those who say they would rather fight to the death than be are fools. I'd rather be raped 1,000 times."
First of all, that's the most ignorant quote I've ever heard in my life. That woman is a muppet, clearly. By that quote alone, I would never lower my worth and look up this chick's name. I disagree completely with this video. From my experiences in life, I'm well aware. Shot up the wall makes more sense in this video. There's no in video games because why would anyone want that function? And if you want that function, that's sick, mate. Get sectioned. Personally, I've never played a game where you can literally kill children I don't know any games that you can now. That this is BS and I'm calling it now. The lack of understanding here is unbelievable. Where is the compassion? Sympathy to what people feel? There is none. Disturbing to say the least, right? Straight out the gutter. Disgusting. The video he made on Cuties blew up. Even though it blew up in a negative way, this guy was heard. Being heard means something to this guy. But yet his mindset and my mindset are on another planet. It's time for a talk.
They're pretty hot. You know, you can say whatever you want about me. It's not my fault.
What is that?
Water.
Thirsty, are we?
Yeah.
Basically, I want to start off with, why is your name, or why do you go by the name of MrGirl?
It's my PlayStation name.
But why have you got girl in your name?
For a couple reasons. One, I think it's funny to beat people at video games and then have them be beaten by somebody named MrGirl. I don't like the misogyny and racism in gaming culture. So it's just kind of like a satisfying, smug thing.
Doing it for a troll? Is that what this...
No, well, another thing is that I do think that gender is not as rigid. Okay, so my view on the whole gender thing. I don't think gender really exists. I think there's biological sex and that's it. So yeah, I was raised listening to Prince and raised as a feminist and raised to believe that men and women are mostly the same on the inside, and that the differences are largely due to how we're brought up and socialization. So yeah, so MrGirl is also just partly me saying you shouldn't think of me as a man. You shouldn't expect me to do things that men do or think things that men think. And,
Okay.
and that's kind of the whole idea of the channel, is that you can't put me in a box, and that you shouldn't put yourself in a box. That no one really, you know, in America people say like I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican or I'm a Christian or whatever, and whatever label you put on yourself, there's going to be some contradiction there.
Your channel name being Mr. The only reason I'm asking you this is because when you relate it to your Cuties video, it just doesn't look very good for you. Having girl in your name, and then you openly on record say that movie was sexually arousing.
First impressions regarding the controversy. This film does try to make you sexually aroused by 11-year-olds. That's a fair quote, but I think
you said they were hot. You said they were hot. You said, okay, I'll quote you. You said that people may find it sexually arousing.
Yeah.
To masturbate to.
I did say that.
Yeah, and then you also said in the next breath that you're like, oh, look at the blonde one. It makes you go, oh, look at the blonde one. She's hot.
I didn't say she was hot, but I did say, look at the blonde one, yeah.
You said they were hot. I'm pretty sure you said they were hot. I had it in my thumbnail as a quote.
I think I said as far as a sexy music video goes, it's pretty hot. Shaking their booties on this stairway as they make this this viral video, and they're pretty hot. We're commenting about MrGirl being an unfortunate name for that video. Yeah, I can see that. Like, another thing you have to understand is I was making this video for a pretty small audience, right? Like 1,700 subs, who all pretty much understand me and who've gone through the like story of my life. So to them, it's just like another disturbing, weird thing I'm disclosing about myself, but or thoughts that I had. But it's not a channel defining moment. Now, to anybody, so if I knew 300,000 people were going to see it, I probably would have done exactly the same thing. However, I can see how if it's your first introduction to the channel, like clearly it is not meant to be your introduction to the channel. The newest video I have is a much better like, welcome to the channel, this is what I'm about, and that kind of prepares you to see like, okay, he's going to say some fucked up shit. The point of the Cuties video, and I think part of the point of Cuties itself, is to talk about that we are all able to have immoral thoughts, sexual thoughts about people who are younger than 18. You know, if you were 14 and you put on makeup and you went out to a nightclub, you know guys would hit on you, right?
What, 14?
Yeah.
You don't get into clubs when you're 14.
If you snuck in.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of illegal, right? You're going against the point.
We're not talking about whether it's illegal. Good-looking 14-year-old dresses up, puts on makeup, and goes out to a bar. Sneaks into the bar.
Yeah.
The guys hit on her?
Well, yeah, of course, because everyone thinks she's 16, 18
Okay.
to get into the club.
Whatever. Are those guys pedophiles?
Well, no, because they think that she's of age.
So
Right.
the video is not about like I didn't turn on the camera and be like, oh my god, I don't know like what the fuck I'm gonna do. Like I watched this movie and like I had all these weird thoughts and like I don't know if I go to fucking jail or therapy or what. Like that's not the point of the video. The point
Yeah,
of the
but
video
you
is
knew
that
the girls were
they-
underage, though. Like, you knew they were.
So you think that if you know someone is under 18,
Yeah, but they look underage.
you think that if you know somebody is under 18, that you can turn a switch in your brain that turns off your sexual feelings? If you could control your sexual feelings, there would be almost no gay people.
There's nothing wrong
Like
with
who-
being gay, though.
Yeah, but who wants to be
You shouldn't
gay?
be ashamed to be gay.
I'm not saying you should. I'm saying who would choose it.
I think people
Some
would
pe-
still choose to be gay.
Some people would. You think most gay people woke up as a child and were like, you know what, I want to be. You think people in like Iraq, you think gay people in China wake up and they're, being gay would just be great here. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, but that comes down to
being
like the
gay-
country's values.
Being gay is punishable by death in a lot of countries.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
So do you
country's
think those
values
people are-
that cause
Do you
that.
think those people are choosing to be gay?
If society didn't have that
No,
sort of,
that society does.
but if
Do you
it
think
didn't, people
they do.
would be fine.
Do you
They
think
wouldn't have
people-
to change.
Do you think people in countries where being gay is punishable by death are still choosing to be gay?
You're missing the point for what I'm trying to say.
I'm the one trying to say something, motherfucker.
You cheeky git.
My point is that you do not choose your sexual feelings. And the fact that there are flamingly gay homos in countries where it is punishable by death is proof of that.
Yeah, because it's out of fear. Of course they would. But
Okay.
I just can't relate to what you're saying in the slightest. I'll be honest with you now.
I haven't even said anything yet.
Yeah, but you have. Too much.
Right. So here's the point of my video. Abusing kids is wrong. Having sex with kids is wrong. I'm not advocating for pedophilia or child molestation.
It's just the language you used in that video, which gave
the problem-
people that point of view.
I don't agree with that. But here's what I'm saying. Not talking about it. Okay, it's turning into this game of Among Us, where everybody's saying, "Who's the pedophile?" And then everybody's saying, and people are even literally commenting on the video, "MrGirl sus," right? Because nobody wants to talk about this. Because even bringing up the topic of talking about it and saying like, "Hey, how are we going to deal with the fact that lots of adults are attracted to lots of children?" Because the way we're dealing with it now is failing. If 700,000 American kids are being abused every year, we are not doing a good job. And I suspect that part of the way in which we're not doing a good job is that we don't know how to talk about this.
Yeah,
we
I
just
completely
pretend
agree.
it's not. In fact, I've been literally part of getting multiple people I know to confront their family about an abuser in their family. And to tell everybody, "Hey, I was abused and nobody's doing anything about it." And almost every time, the family just pretends it didn't happen. There's usually some short little blow up, and then it's just back to business as usual. So we don't have a language for talking about this. And we
Oh, yeah,
don't
for
have a way
sure.
to deal with it.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, I think it's really important to really understand the root of the problem. And my conclusion is how you are grown up and the environment you are in lead you to the person you are today.
girls are hitting puberty at younger and younger ages. So a 14-year-old now developmentally might be where a 16-year-old was a couple hundred years ago. So if you compare that, even back then, it was even lower or lower on in someone's development. So I also think that we just have to like understand that we are moving in the right direction on this.
Yeah,
and
like,
that there's no like huge push for pedophilia to become normalized. It's going the other way.
I'll bring up the fact where in the Philippines the age of consent is like 12. That's absolutely disgusting. I know that a lot of paedophiles fly over there because of how low the age of consent is. And I just want to point out, just because a girl has a period or hits puberty, whatever you want to call it, does not mean that she's ready to have sex in the slightest. Because I know in your cuties video you brought up something they were playing with a condom or something.
Yeah, that a lot of kids.
And I just want to quote you. You literally said like something about them being horny.
Yeah.
No kid, no girl at 11 is feeling horny.
That's not true.
That is ridiculous.
That's
I don't know a
absolutely not
single
true.
girl that I grew up with.
That's not true.
I know a single girl I grew up with.
I've seen fucking 2-year-olds hump stuffed animals. That's not true.
But they don't know what they're doing at 2.
What do you mean they don't know what they're doing?
They don't know what they're doing at 2. Can you remember when you were 2?
Feeling. Yes.
You can remember when you're 2. That's bullshit. I think the film was bullshit.
What does that mean?
That the film was absolutely like pigeon shit. Doesn't need to exist. It's disgusting. The way it sexualizes kids by trying to not sexualize them is ridiculous. They sexualize kids. Why in the heavens was the camera zooming in on girls' arses and vagina? Why? There's no
Didn't
need.
I say that? Didn't I also say that in my video?
I think there was a clip, yeah.
Okay, so we agree on that. And didn't
As
I
the
say
girl
it was
put her
weird
leg
to
up?
stick a camera? Didn't I say it was weird to stick a camera in an 11-year-old's crotch?
Yeah, but then in the next breath, you also said look at the blonde one. It makes you go look at the blonde one.
Sure, but so I guess another problem with people interpreting my videos, they think that my channel is out to make me look good and normal. And so then when I say things, they think I'm saying, hey guys, I'm so proud of this thought I have, and it is such a normal thing to say, but like, blah, 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 blah. That's not the point of the channel. The point of the channel is to reveal disturbing things about both myself and you, the viewer.
Oh, that was spicy. You drink that, you thirsty ass. Would you identify as a map?
No. There's tons of maps who advocate against child abuse and say we need to talk about our feelings, but we need to not act on them.
See,
And they say, you know, I'm attracted to kids, but I don't work with kids. I keep myself away from kids. And, you know, my profile is anonymous because I don't want to get killed. But I'm here as a resource for other people who are struggling with this and who are afraid they're going to abuse somebody. They can come to me and I can give them strategies for how to cope with this awful thing that's taking over their lives and help keep them from harming anyone. I think that's a good thing.
Well, you've got that side. It's good that people can identify the issue and obviously work on it and obviously get help. Yeah. But then you've also got the other end of it as well. It's not just
guns and roses. You're asking me if I think fucking kids is okay?
That's not what I said. I said, would you identify as a map?
No.
Yeah, that's fine. You've answered that. And now, have you ever dated someone who was underage?
No.
No.
I mean, not since I was also underage, but no.
Have you had any urge sexually towards a kid?
What do you mean by... I think that I would... there are things that I am... Okay. Have you ever had the urge to kill somebody?
No.
I don't believe you.
No.
And so I think that I classify urges differently from most people. Maybe I'm just like autistic or something. I think that like if I see Hermione in the Harry Potter movies and for 1 second I think like, oh, she's kind of hot. Am I a pedophile who should spend the rest of his life in jail? Like, no, that's fucking stupid. So I'm just going to take the question to mean, do I look at kids and think like, you know what I might do? I might fuck that kid. I might molest this kid. No. The answer is no.
Did you ever feel the same way about any other movie like you did with Cuties?
Do I think other movies are intentionally trying to make me turned on by them, or the viewer? Lindsay Lohan movies, I think. Yeah. So again, like, yeah, Cuties is I would say it's a solid movie. It's a good movie. It's not amazing. It's pretty good. Was it made unethically? Yes. Should they have made
You
it
honestly
differently?
telling me
Yeah.
right now that you enjoyed watching that film? You enjoyed every moment watching that film? Because for some reason I don't believe you. I can't believe that.
You think I thought it was boring or what?
No, I just mean the movie itself was terrible.
Like, or I don't know, terrible in what way?
Everything about it was terrible. I don't know how you don't see
The acting?
what I see.
Make me
No,
see.
no,
The acting.
nothing to
the
do with the
acting's good.
acting. This film.
So is you're saying that you'd rather work in a fucking sweatshop than twerk on
Yeah,
camera?
but they're
No.
completely different things.
Why?
They're completely different things. It's disgusting.
You don't think working in a sweatshop for your
no.
entire life is traumatic?
You're trying to
For 50
compare
cents a
two
day?
different things that aren't comparable. That's what you're trying to do here.
You don't think you
It's
can
clear as
compare
day.
child,
No, it's
child
completely
slavery
different.
with-
It's completely different. I'm not downplaying working in a sweatshop at all, but you're trying to put a correlation between
kind of
two
are.
things that aren't there.
Okay, Cuties was unethical. Do we agree?
Yes. What's your view on paedophilia?
My view on my understanding of it, so the latest research says that 2 to 3% of men are pedophiles and 1% of women, something like that.
Yeah,
And
I've read that.
pedophilia is a persistent attraction to only prepubescent children. On pedophilia, I mean, that's what pedophilia is. What do you mean? What's my view on, like, schizophrenia? Like, I can explain what it is, but
Yeah, it's fine. It's just
You're-
you know, it's intriguing to hear what your answer is. That's all.
I guess I'm assuming that there's a value judgment that's being asked for here. So I'll say that I think it's probably really isolating and sad to be a pedophile. Pedophilia is not a good predictor of child abuse. Most people who abuse children are not strictly attracted to children and may not even be attracted to children generally or at all. Most of it's opportunism.
I just dislike the people for inflicting pain on others. You know what I mean? Why?
I do.
I don't see the point. What's the end goal here? For like what? Couple minutes of like nice time for you, and then trauma for life for the kid.
I think it's more like the person doing it is already lost in their own trauma.
Do you think it's like I think it is like a sense of power, as well. It could be. It's a multiple of things, I guess. What they get out of it, it's just sickening. I don't know how.
I mean, like, your question leads to an interesting idea that, like, they must really want to do it for it to be worth it.
Yeah.
Or they must be really sure they're going to get away with it.
But then, like, when you really think about it, that's sickening, right? That's absolutely sickening.
The things people will do to each other just because they can get away with it, yeah.
Right, now we get kind of real. So just tell me if you don't want to answer any of these.
No, bring it on.
It's
motherfucker.
absolutely fine. Okay, do you think growing up with this male are monsters stigma has turned you into one because that's what you thought was expected of you?
At some points, yeah. I think that I tried so hard to not be an aggressive, sexually dominating rapist, which is kind of like what I was taught at my mother's house. Actually, kind of my father's house too. I remember once in college, I told my father and his wife that I think that bathrooms should be desegregated by sex. And my father told me, men are horrible. It would never work because men are horrible and they have to be kept separate from women for women to feel safe. And I just remember thinking, like, looking at him and being like, wow, you really fucking hate yourself.
Oh my god.
And so yeah, I do think that, actually. If the implication is that I'm a monster, like in the sense that I'm like a pedophile or a child molester, like, no, I'm very law abiding. I'm a Boy Scout, but I do think that repressing my anger and feelings in general and my sexuality for a long time did make me very, very angry. Like I would explode with some of my exes. I didn't beat them up, but like I definitely like broke things. We would get into like physical fights, not like punching each other, but like grabbing or like squeezing or wrestling or shoving. Yeah, I did kind of turn into a monster for a while, and I think sexually too. I think that I occasionally, like compulsively, would sexualize friendships or relationships in ways that was pretty isolating. Again, like I didn't break any laws. I don't even think I did anything unethical. I just think I was bringing sex into my life in a way that was kind of isolating and unwise.
Were you introduced to sex at a young age?
Like actually having sex? Or what? Or the idea of sex? Like I learned about sex when I was like 7, I think, or 8.
Was it?
And I had like the big book of sex, I think, or I don't remember what it's called, but it was how sex works. And it was like cartoon illustrations of just like the science of sex. You're talking about like actually
7?
having sex?
Why'd you have that at
Yeah.
7?
I don't know. In my family and hometown, that was somewhat normal, I think.
I've missed a question. Sorry, I'm just gonna backtrack a minute. What
It
in
almost
your...
started happening with you earlier.
Huh? What'd you say?
It almost started happening with you earlier.
Why? What?
When I started like needling you about your anger,
Yeah?
I think you don't like to talk about that.
I'll talk about my anger all day. I've acknowledged it. I've accepted it. And now I can control it. It's all about acceptance. Once you accept things, that's when you move on.
I think you're a bit of a control freak. I think you are.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Do you think for you that sometimes it doesn't matter how many people around you, you still feel alone?
I used to. Since I started talking about my feelings more, I have way less friends. Got divorced. Don't speak to either of my parents. Basically got kicked out of most of my family. But I feel a lot less alone.
You see, right now, I've noticed a change in you and your persona.
Yeah.
You've just suddenly dropped your guard down right now. You had your guard up at the start of this video. It's like you rehearsed what you were going to say to me.
No, I didn't actually. It's more just that when you conflate me talking about kids being horny or whatever with me saying, and it is also okay to have sex with them, which I'm not saying, it makes me mad. So I have to, because it's not that I'm mad at you. I'm just mad at the general thing of like, I can't talk about these things without being accused of being them, and it really pisses me off. So
I can tell you were quite defensive.
Yeah, part of it is just like a biological defensiveness where I usually can be okay with not getting defensive and combative, but at a certain point, just the number of literal death threats has made me quite defensive.
When you say your mother was attracted to you, that you said in the monster video, and you said after that's a story for another time. Elaborate.
It hit me just like with a flash one day. Okay, so I found myself becoming increasingly averse to being in close physical proximity to my mother as I got into my teenage years, to the point where it like felt like I was being poisoned if I hugged her or went anywhere near her. And simultaneously she was getting like meaner and meaner to me. And I remember one day she was telling me that I wasn't cheerful enough at dinner, and that I wasn't being like happy enough, literally. And I said, listen, I'm just like an angry teenager. Okay. And you, like, it's nothing personal, which was not true, but this is what I believed at the time. I was like 14 or 15. I was like, it's nothing personal, but this is just, you know, how I'm acting right now. And just tried to be as like nice as I could. And she said, that's not good enough. And then it like just hit me like, oh, you just don't like me. You literally don't like me. And then I just started confronting her. Every time she would start in on me, I would just say, you don't like me. I believe you don't like me. And then like a couple of months later, she told me to go live with my father. And I didn't talk to her for like a year. We tried going to family therapy, which was a nightmare. And a bunch more like on and off talking shit. And then eventually I just like tried to just be nice to her, even though I couldn't stand her and still was utterly repulsed by her touch or being anywhere near her. And then when I was like 25, I finally confronted her and I was like, listen, I hate you. I love you, but I hate you. And I've hated you for like 10 years.
Jeez.
And she responded partly by saying, part of why I kicked you out is that I was sexually attracted to you. And I think I was afraid for you. And I haven't talked to her since. And I wasn't surprised by it, honestly. It was like part of me knew that. I knew it and I just didn't want to know it. And then, and it's not even the fact that that's true. It's not why I no longer felt safe, like basically ever seeing her again. It's that the way she said it was like she wasn't going to protect me from it.
Right.
Like I think it's not that weird to be attracted to your kids on some level, or your parents. Like I had a crush on my mom when I was growing up. I think what's weird is to have that be the defining thing in your relationship and to not be able to like cushion it in a safe place with like other kinds of love. It was like my mother didn't like me or love me and only was attracted to me, and it's a really, really creepy combination. And I felt like she was not looking out for me or my well-being. I mean, really ever, but especially when she said that.
I just can't believe what I'm hearing, to be honest. It's hard to comprehend in my brain what you just said.
So that's another thing with the cuties video, is that like I don't have the luxury of not thinking about these things. I'm not just someone who had like a nice normal family. And honestly, probably a lot of people are not, but because it was made so explicit with me that, you know, I'm forced to think about like, what am I going to do if I have a kid and I find them attractive? How do you handle that?
That's just never something that's entered my mind. I'm going to be real
I know,
with
but
you right now.
You can tell so many fathers and their overprotectiveness, like, and mothers doting over their favorite number one prized firstborn sons. It's not that uncommon for sure, but most people have a much healthier way of dealing with it.
It's not like I grew up normal, but it's just such an abnormal thing to hear. Especially when you've never experienced said things, to hear that is quite shocking.
You've never seen somebody who like a girl whose father seemed like he was attracted to her on some level?
Never.
This extra special, sweet little princess?
Never. How do you know it's attraction and it's not just being a parent?
Because the father gets flustered and angry and confused and says, "Why are you wearing that makeup? Where are you going? Who are you going with?" And then it meets the boyfriend and
That's just parenting.
Kill him with a shotgun? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, maybe it's part of parenting.
That is
but
parenting.
To say that there is not some sort of possessiveness, I think is.
My dad's very overprotective of me.
I'm not going to talk about your dad.
Yeah, I'm just very curious. Because you still want to answer the question. I'm going to keep asking you until I get the answer.
What's the question? I'm sorry. I don't
how do you know if a parent is attracted to their kid? Like, how do you define being a good parent and then attraction? Just by seeing it, because you can't enter people's minds.
No, I can't. Oh, what signs do I look for? I can't prove it to you. It's
but how do you know though? Because those signs
it's just
could.
A theory. I mean, first of all, I know because I observed it, and then my mother confirmed my suspicions by fucking telling me. So I know that in my own case, I was right. But how do I know with other people? I don't. It's just what I observe. I could be wrong.
This one's a long one. You're gonna like this one.
Yeah.
Given Walt Hayer's testimony on Heritage Foundation UK and the strong evidence for abuse in the past, especially early childhood, can you identify a point in your past or event that had abuse tendencies, or was there anyone in your family who acted sexually inappropriate towards you, or in school or in general?
I think I've pretty much answered that, but the implication being that I'm a child abuser because I was abused, but I'm not a child abuser, so I don't agree with that. As I've said, I've worked and spent a lot of time around children in my life and my professional life, and have never abused anyone.
I think the question was...
Is there a defining moment?
Yes, where someone, an adult has been sexually inappropriate towards you.
The premise of the question is that I'm a pedophile, and I'm not.
No, not at all. It's not indicating that you're a pedophile. They're basically just asking if anyone has been...
The testimony that they're referring to, I assume, is about how abusers were abused when they were children. It'd be like if I said, did you kill your best friend with a hammer, yes or no?
No, but...
Like what? Like, I didn't kill my best friend, so there's not an answer.
He's just asking, as any adult, just ignore the first half if you want.
I don't... Well, I think I've already answered that then. Now, what I define as sexually inappropriate may be more subtle than most. But yeah, I would say the answer is yes.
Do you hate women?
But the point
you
of the video...
You literally murmured it in, I think it was your video you did on I Almost Got...
I think it threatens... Well, whatever. I'm going to start ranting about how I hate women.
Again, like... In the overall sense, like, do I hate women like an incel? Like, do I think they should be forced to have sex with me and enslaved by men? Like, no. I'm very much a feminist in the sense that I think that men and women should be equals, or a humanist, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I do think that I have a lot of aggression towards women that is kind of general and free-floating, and that I don't feel toward men. So in that sense, yes. I would say I wrestle with some misogyny inside me. Yeah. And I've learned to live with it somewhat, and in some ways I haven't.
Do you think, I'm just going off your video, Carol, I think it was Carol, right? Is she participated a factor in this?
Yeah, for sure.
I could feel the hate through the screen when you were talking about her on your video.
Part of the reason for the divorce is that I'm in love with someone else. Who, I asked. Carol. Carol, her friend and colleague. Running around the house, endless conversations about the dogs and the cats. Her and Carol calling the dogs their kids as if I didn't exist. Yeah, I hate Carol.
Yeah,
I still hate Carol. I think part of what sets you up to be a misogynist like me is horrible experiences with women that make you really angry as a kid, and then also being told that if you get angry at women, you're a sexist, horrible person. And the combination of those two is like leaves you with a lot of bottled up hatred. Eminem was very important to me for this reason in high school, because it was like it gave me a way to be like, oh, I can turn this into a creative outlet, or like I can make this part of my life or my personality. I don't have to just bottle this up. It's actually okay to express fucked up shit.
Yeah, I get that. I think when you come to like a realization that not everyone is like that, when you like learn to trust people and you realize...
I'm ready to put my guard back up.
No. Why do you like women looking at your naked body?
Oh, that's easy. I think part of it started with being shamed about being a man or being a boy when I was young. And I think the idea that like my body, specifically my dick, is like a thing of evil, or like a thing that should be hated, I think left me with the like compulsive desire to have it be accepted. And so getting older and seeing that like there were women who just would like my body or admire it, just made me feel like better. But it's like closely tied to shame.
Do you like mix that feeling with sex? Does that like get you?
One of my
I'm just
friends
curious.
one of my friends did accuse me of getting off on all of the criticism and people calling me like a pervert or a pedophile. I don't think I am. I don't think that's true. I do think that I have definitely been turned on by being embarrassed, and being embarrassed by being turned on, and that has been part of like exhibitionism before. But my relationship with exhibitionism has definitely changed, and especially now that like I'm in a monogamous relationship, it's helped me sort of like get perspective on what part of it is like addictive or compulsive, and understand it better. I do think that part of it's about like embarrassment and shame, but I don't think it goes the other way. I'm definitely not turned on every time I'm embarrassed. Also, I'm not embarrassed about the cuties video. That's another thing. It's like there's this assumption that I'm like people can dox me by like showing my friends and family or like professional contacts the cuties video, and like I you know, everybody I know is on my side about it, and it's very supportive and just, you know, thinks it's a good video.
I think it's just the way that you perceived yourself.
Yeah, but they already know me, so like they're not shocked by it. They're just like, oh, here goes Max. So
yeah, but for someone who doesn't know you to make yourself perceive that way, you can get why there's such an outrage.
I do understand the outrage, but from my point of view, it's not really a shameful or embarrassing experience. It's more just stressful. It's stressful to have like 100,000 people be really mad at you. That's stressful, but I don't feel ashamed of it, no. And it doesn't turn me on.
Do you think that there was some things in the cuties video that you should have said differently?
No.
You stand by everything you said?
I stand by everything I said. I mean, there's some jokes.
I thought you were being 100% serious.
Well, I mean, like when I'm saying look at the blonde one and then I'm zooming in on my face, I'm obviously making a joke. But the joke is not like, oh, this whole video is just here to piss you off, you stupid fucks. Like, no, I mean what I'm saying in the video. I'm just also making fun of myself at the same time.
Go on.
The joke is that I'm saying it like it's the most normal thing in the world. I'm saying it like, oh, and yeah, there are people who are masturbating to this video, to cuties. Of course there are. Like, it's a fucking disturbing thing to just bring up, and yet I'm saying it like I'm talking about my grocery list. So I think that the joke there is just that I'm being so cavalier about something that is like really freaky to think about.
But then I know we're going back here, but then like you still stand by it's a good film even though people masturbate to it.
Yeah. It's complicated. Cuties is different though, because I actually think the message literally is a force for good, but I think the way that the message was constructed was kind of unethical. Yeah, so I do think the movie's pretty hypocritical.
Yeah, it was Netflix just talking out their arse, really. Trying to justify it still. It's fucking stupid. You know they're being criminally charged with it now?
I do.
Yeah, in the state of Texas.
Yes, I saw that.
And they're still standing by it. Fucking asses.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, they kind of have to just stick to it. But I think they should not have bought it in the first place, for sure. I think the thing that is weird about me is that I am willing to say things and imply things about myself that other people would not do.
So you do think you're different to other people in that aspect?
Yeah. I think I'm different, and I think what I'm trying to market about my channel is that I am willing to say things that even endanger my life because I would rather tell the truth than pretend I'm someone I'm not. And I think that's pretty unique. But the thing I'm telling the truth about is I don't think that unique.
I rate that because that's me, but our views are just very different. I rate what you just said there, like 100%.
Yeah. I don't think our views are different. What do you think our views are different about? I think there's a lot of weird sexual unconscious emotions going on that I pick up on. that's something we disagree about. You think that they're not there, and I think that I'm seeing them everywhere, and you think I'm just like seeing ghosts and imagining.
But maybe
shit.
that's just because it's been implemented in your mind at a young age.
Yeah. You have a good argument for that. But,
But
other
then,
than that,
so
like,
do I, but I just got terrified of it. There's a difference.
right, so maybe you're blind to it. Maybe I'm oversensitive to it and seeing it where it's not there. Like, we'll never know. But other than that, like, I don't think our views are that different.
I don't think I'm blind to it. I just think
Well, I don't think our values are different.
I just think we see things differently because we've had different circumstances. We
Sure.
still had trauma, but just different circumstances make you see things differently. Like, you see things that I don't see, and then I see things that you don't see. Okay, I kind of get an emotionless feel from you in certain parts in your videos. Why do you think that is? Do you think you know? Like, the
No.
way you talk about
I've
things.
heard that. Yeah, I've heard that before. That people think I'm just like stoic and emotionless and like a robot or like an autistic person.
Mm.
I
Why
think
do you
I'm
think
quite
that is?
emotional though. I don't know.
Is that because you got your
People
guard
say-
up?
It could be.
You do seem quite emotionless when you have your guard up, I must admit.
Oh. Then that would make sense.
You know when you meet
'Cause they
new
feel like-
people, do you struggle?
I freak people out though, I think, because
Yeah, I
they feel
get
like
that.
I'm
I'm not saying that that's how I feel. Carry on, sorry.
you could just see how someone would be freaked out. I think I feel like I think people feel like I'm reading stuff about them and that they can't read me, and that makes them uncomfortable. One time, okay, I'll say this. When I was dating in Los Angeles and I was in New York and San Francisco a little bit too, I was like maybe 20% of the women I went on dates with would just get up and leave after like 15 minutes. Like, freak out. One time this woman burst into tears 30 seconds after meeting me and told me that I reminded her of this guy who stalked her. Yeah, so like people will like flip the fuck out. So it's not just my channel or like my writing or anything. It's like I just make people flip out like pretty regularly.
But do you think that's just because that's the view you have on yourself? You became that person?
No, I didn't say anything weird. Literally, without speaking to her.
No, it's
I
just your
just said, like-
persona. Like,
Yeah,
how
I
you
was
stand with
just
yourself.
I was just like, did you get a smoothie?
Yeah, but it's the
and
way you
she-
say it. How did you
started-
say it?
How do you? I said no. I was just like, did you get? I just talking like a fucking normal person. I thought, and then yeah, she just sat down and started sobbing, and she was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, this is so weird. You must think I'm like crazy. Like, I promise I'm not like this." And I was like, "No, this happens."
Oh my god. You've
I'm
had
used to
bad
it.
experiences, you have.
Yeah, I've had some weird experiences.
Jesus Christ. Are you okay? Serious
No.
question. Are you okay?
What do you mean?
Like, are you okay?
What does that mean?
It's 3 words. Are you okay? Are you okay?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Are you
How do you
okay?
define-
Are you
how do
are you
define-
okay?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? I'm asking if
How do
you're
you define?
alright.
How do you define okay? Okay, how do you define?
I'm just
alright?
saying because of these little stories you're telling me. Are you okay? Because
What does?
that's not a nice situation to be in.
No, I've been in a lot of not nice situations. I'm a little banged up. What do you mean?
Why can't
I'm
you answer the
damaged
question?
goods.
Are you
I'm
okay?
damaged- Because it's a oversimplified question.
I'm just asking if you're alright, mate. You're overthinking it.
I can't answer that until you define it.
I don't know how else more to explain. Are you
Well, then I
okay?
can't
More than
answer-
are you
no, I
okay?
cannot answer that
Just
question.
say
Thank-
yes or no. Do you feel
I can't
okay
answer.
right now?
What do you mean? I feel a lot of things. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. It's more complicated than that. I'm not one to just put a big stamp on my emotions, okay or not okay. It's more complex.
Wait, are you sort of okay?
Yeah.
There you go then. You see this? Oh my god.
One time I was at a coffee shop when I lived in Boston, and this 15-year-old girl came in and sat down across from me. total stranger, and just started crying. And she was just like, "Can I talk to you?" I was like 21, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "I ran away from home."
Oh.
Things like this just happen to me all the time. I told her to go home, and she did, I think. But now I don't know if that was smart.
You shouldn't second guess yourself. I mean, it's not. You can do your best to help people, but you know you can't control other people.
Yeah, I probably should have told her to call a social worker or something.
But 21's still quite young. You can't. Do you think back to that moment quite often?
Do I think what?
Do you think back to that moment quite often?
Oh, no, just every once in a while.
Just randomly now, just popped in.
Yeah.
Do you overthink things?
I was just thinking about weird coffee shop experiences. Do I overthink things?
Yeah.
No.
You answer no.
I don't think so.
I disagree.
You do.
No, I disagree. That you I think you
things.
overthink. Yeah, I think it's clear as day to me.
You overthink things,
No,
and I don't.
No, you do
it's you.
overthink things. Because why couldn't you answer if you were alright? It's a basic question.
Because it's too simple. I think our language for talking about our emotions is way oversimplified.
Yeah, but you're overthinking it.
Basically,
It's just, are you okay?
When people say, "Are you okay?" what they mean is, "Can I just like stop thinking about this?" And then you go, "Yes," and they're like, "Great."
Your
real
perception
question.
of it is wrong. That's not. That's not.
No,
what
it's
I meant.
actually your perception that's wrong.
It's just, are you okay?
When
I'm
you
just
when
asking.
you say I'm okay, when you say I'm okay to somebody, you're just saying the conversation about my emotions is over.
It's like, how are you? It's like, how are you? Are you okay?
I don't ask people that.
Or maybe that's just a UK thing. But I was just simply asking if you're alright.
No, it's not a UK. It's not a UK thing. People do it here all the time. I don't like it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's called civil disobedience.
Did I make you feel uncomfortable? I just asked you if you okay.
I reject.
Cry? Okay. Do you think being restricted as much as you were as a kid has contributed you saying outrageous things at times, like admitting wait for the big one, like admitting you like masturbating in front of people? Not the average Joe next door would say that, would they?
Well, if you want to masturbate in front of people, you have to tell them that you like doing it. So if you can get a bunch of people to know that about you, opportunities quickly start presenting themselves, and people will just be like, "Oh, well, if you'll masturbate and I can watch you," they'll just ask you. So that's kind of a specific thing where, like, if you have like a fetish or like a kink or something and you want to actually do it, you do have to tell people about it. And that's just some friendly advice. Now, the rest of your question, there is a long-standing tradition of anti-authoritarianism in my family. So it's not just that I was restricted, it's that I was simultaneously restricted, but also told that breaking rules is a very valuable and good thing to do. I mean, even my own mother, like, divorcing my father and becoming a lesbian, you can't really then say to your kid, like, "But you need to follow all the rules," when, like, clearly you're doing whatever the fuck you want. So, you know.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think
from someone looking at you from an outside kind of perspective, like, you have had a lot of shocking things in your life.
Yes.
So I don't feel like you feel like you're being shocking at all compared to those things.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's the other thing, is I don't think that I'm saying anything. I knew the Cuties video was provocative, but not nearly as provocative as people find it. I thought it was going to be like, "Oh, well, I don't know if you should say that." Not like, "Oh, my life's mission is to hunt you down and kill you now." Because
your tolerance is higher for that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm just used to people talking about disturbing shit. Also started reading Stephen King when I was like 10. I think that probably also made me think that, like, talking about weird, fucked up shit is more acceptable than it possibly actually is.
I feel peaked that you didn't have guidance in your life.
Well, now I have you.
Yeah, that's true. I'll lead you down the right path, son. I'll sort you out.
I appreciate that. I will watch your channel religiously, and I look forward to becoming a healthy person.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever seeked help? Do you ever feel like you need help sometimes with the thoughts you have?
I will say that I have gone to therapy. I don't want to talk too specifically about it.
That's fine.
But yeah, I've been to therapy, and the purpose was to learn how to express myself better
Okay.
and more openly. So I never sought help like, Doc, you got to get these fucking thoughts out of my head, man. I've sought help with like, I want to learn how to be more open. Because as you said, I can be guarded to the point of it being self-destructive.
Yeah, there's ways to communicate. I feel like you need a bit of help with that, with how you say words. People can see it differently to you, if that makes sense. It's going back to your videos and your cues. It's the way you perceive yourself, which is the point I'm going back to. You could choose your words a lot better.
Sure, I know you're very good at that. You're good at saying things that could be taken the wrong way, but are not. But I think part of the point of my channel is I'm like, if you want to take this the wrong way, you go right ahead, and I'll still be there with you, and I'll stand by it.
That takes a lot for someone to do that. I'm not even joking. Like, it takes balls for someone to seek help these days.
I do get what you're saying. I do. I'm being a little flippant about it, but I will think about this.
No, yeah. We've had a good chat, mate. Good chat.
Me too. Me too.
Welcome back. Hi. So we're coming to the end of this video now, and I don't really want to sit here and do a conclusion for y'all, because I feel like I want you to make your own mind up what you feel about this situation. Now, I've tried to present this interview in such a way you can grasp your own view. I didn't want to argue every single point to the death, because that's just not productive at all. I think it's good to highlight his answers and how he answered certain things, and yes, I do think he has a problem communicating. I think that's clear as day, and I think it refers back to some of the questions that he just couldn't answer. Like, for example, when I asked him his view on peas and he gave me the definition, sends a question out there really of if any of us were in his situation, being brought up that way, would we have turned out like him? I'm quite an observer sort of person, so this is why I've made this video in somewhat way that I have. But at the end of the day, no one's necessarily wrong. Comment below what your analysis of this is. Yeah, we're doing a bit of detective work today. There's a lot of things in my mind I could go on about, and I might even make a separate video analysing it even further. Also, just want to pop this in here because I think this is the morally right thing to do. Please do not send any hate to anyone in this video, anyone in the tweets that I showed on the screen, to MrGirl himself. Hating isn't the right thing to do here. It's not productive. It's not going to solve anything. It's just going to make things even worse. Hate can push people to do the unthinkable. So please think what you're saying to people before you say them. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. Please take care. I will see you in the next one. Inappropriate!